Hello everyone. With the current Tier 0 fire format looming over every duelist's head, a ban list is all but guaranteed. Even though Konami refuses to give us a date ahead of time, we could assume the next ban list will be at least a few months after the previous one. Since the last ban list was January 1st, and the meta is over 80% fire decks, I'm going to take a guess that we'll probably be getting the next ban list within the next 2 months, but we'll see how well this ages. As we go forward, please keep in mind this is coming from someone that is up to date with the current meta, but only plays semi-competitively. Also, make sure to share your ban list wishes and predictions in the comments below. Alright, let's start off with the cards I either want or think will realistically be limited. It's no surprise, Pure Snake Eye and Fire King Snake Eye are running the meta right now, so some hits are definitely in order. Though it's kinda difficult for me to think of ways to hit the deck that would matter with how consistent they are, here's what I had in mind. For possible fire deck limits, I think either Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye Ash, and or Bonfire would be good consistency hits. Let me know if this is too harsh or not harsh enough, but I think a combination of the two would be a reasonable hit to fire decks without completely killing either top meta threats. Though I think most likely the former two would be hit since Konami tends to hit cards that are on the cheaper end, I think Bonfire being essentially a fire Rota, and Rota being limited is a good enough reason, so why the hell not? Snake Eye Ash and Original Sins are a part of a 1 to 2 card combo for both fire decks, and since they can be recycled wanted, I think one or both being limited is more than fair. For the next of limited, to the dismay of Joshua Smith, I think Mathematics Circular could definitely come back. Listen, Konami, why'd you have to do my man Circular like that? I know the card's insane, but when Circular was limited, Mathmech wasn't even topping any events. I think the ban in the first place was overkill. Maybe I'm biased, but this is my video, so the whole thing's pretty much biased. My last limit might be a mistake, but I'm all for wide open formats with as many decks being playable as possible. I think the ban to Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow was overkill. The deck finally saw tier play after the first time since it came out, and Konami literally took it behind the shed like 2 weeks after it became meta. Maybe it'll be a mistake, but there's only one way to find out. Now for my semi-limits. I think depending on what fire deck limits are made, Snake Eye Oak could be a contender for semi-limited. To my knowledge, people only play 1 or 2 copies max, but if Ash is hit, then Oak might go up more in play. I think the Graveyard Revival and the Flamberge deck summon effect are really powerful, and that poses enough of a threat for me to consider it to be semi-limited. I could be talking out of my ass here, but I'm sure everyone in the comments will let me know below. Now though, I think Fire King is fine by itself. It doesn't warrant a hit on the ban list, but to be honest, no one just plays pure Fire King. If the deck were to be hit, I think Kieran would probably be the most likely best option. Though it might be a slap on the wrist, I think semi-limiting Kieran would be a realistic possibility. Similar to Unchained, even though they limited Shavara, Kieran is the deck's main way to dodge targeted negation, and it's also a great extender for the deck. Speaking of decks that are fine by themselves, why the heck is Magister Kieran still on the ban list? I don't think Magispectors, even with the new support, are going to be tier 1 anytime soon. Even if it is, let the deck have some monster bounces in their arsenal. Alright, time for the bans. Now it's time for, and I know you can't see my finger quotations here, my spicy picks. Something I love that the last ban list did was limit a lot of the worst floodgates. I don't think it's enough though. I think continuous floodgates, shut up, M-Pin doesn't count, are extremely unhealthy for the game. I know, a very unique opinion. Though I would want all floodgates banned, the term floodgate can be defined differently depending on the person. Anyways, I'll make this quick since it should be obvious. We need to get rid of the Calamity Lock. I know what you're thinking, but what about Featherstorm? Featherstorm isn't a super easily accessible part of the Wanderer's combo, kind of like Calamity Lock is with Centurion. Not being able to activate monster effects for a turn, and not being able to activate any cards face up for the turn are a big difference. Not to mention, if the Calamity Lock is live, you're guaranteed to be OTK'd after you just pass turns and you can't do anything. Keeping the train going, get Tikaboo, Gozen Match, and Rivalry Warlords out of my face. Not that I think it's a bad deck, but I don't think decks like Salamangreat should be getting half their wins from using floodgates to lock people out of playing the game, without Feather Duster. Obviously, it's a bit of an oversimplified way of putting it, but you get my point. Bans being out of the way, let's talk about what could be unlimited. Fenrir's at 3, right? And people say it's a better Pankratops, right? Then why the hell is Pank not at 3? That's essentially my main argument here. Fenrir is essentially just a Pankratops that replaces itself. so I think it's perfectly fine if Pink goes back to 3. Somewhat related to my last point, I think Speedroid Terratop is perfectly reasonable at 3. It's at 2 now and it's not really wrecking havoc on the metagame. Also, let's let Speedroid players eat a little more. It's also a buff to really any rank 3 spam deck out there. The first thing that comes to mind is like Goblin Bikers. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. My last and final pick for Unlimited are just all the Dragon Rulers. Master Duel let all the dragons roam free and nothing happened. I mean, the game is advanced at a fast enough pace where, worse Vernisylves really aren't going to break the meta. But please, again, keep in mind these are somewhat biased choices from someone with a bird brain. But I hope everyone that made it this far has enjoyed. Well, now it's your turn. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What changes do you want to see on the ban list? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.